Okay, so what I'd like to do with this video is go over a couple of things that we could have a jump start on Monday's class. So if you have the time this weekend while you're working on your game, if you could please create a Word document. Let me show you an example of what I'm looking for. So basically on Monday, what we're going to do is we're going to do start our beta testing. So everybody will have their level set up on their computer and on a file, either as a JPEG or as a Word document or as a PDF. Probably a Word document because I know that the computers at school have the Word document available. So if you would create this in a Word document, this would be good. If not, you can use one of the other ones. Just make sure that you save it as a JPEG or something that the computers can open up. So anyways, so what I've done here is I've copy and pasted, I've done screenshots of the computer and then I've cropped them inside of the word processor inside of Microsoft Word. And then I've created small paragraphs about each one of the areas in my zone. And then I've created another sheet for everything that can cause damage. So if we look at this page over here, what I've done is I've taken a top-down shot of the entire area, everything that's part of this game, and then I've broken down the first area into different zones. So different things happen in each one of these zones, as I assume that you have set up either different rooms or that you have like maybe the maze, the entrance, this room, that room. And so what you can do is you can do a print screen, and let me show you on a keyboard. On most keyboards, you will have this button on them that says print screen. If you print screen, and let me do that here. So let's go into there. And obviously, if you're going to do a print screen, if you can get the biggest view of whatever it is that you need in the shot there, I'm going to hit the button now on my keyboard, print screen, and I'm going to go to Microsoft Word. And I'm just going to go down here to the last page, or to the end of the page. So I'm on a new page, and I'm just going to hit Control V. Once I've hit Control V, I can select this. I can go to Format. I can select Crop, and I can then cut this down to where it's just the image that I'm looking for. All right, hit enter, and there's my crop. Now the other thing that you can do is you see how there's this little symbol that shows up on the side. If not, if you right click on there, it says the text wrap. I usually set up the text wrap to, here, let me do it from here, to this one. And what that does is allows me to position this on the right hand side or on the left hand side. And then I can type in my text, and I'm just going to keep typing. If I break up this thing into like what would be words, you'll see that if I keep it on that one, it allows, it sets up a nice little margin on the side. So the one I use is this one, which is the square. So text wrapping square. And you can get that by either clicking over here on the symbol. If your version of it doesn't work that way, you can right click on the object and go into text wrap, and it's right there, square. So two ways that you can get to it. So what I'm looking for with this, I'm looking for one page that sets up all the different areas and gives me key information about what that area is. So for example, area 1. In this area, the character is spawned into a launch pad that will be, and they will be instructed to use the letter E to open up the door to get into the next area. There is a kill zone, which is set up next to the door. So if they go through that, they will be respawned and go back to the front door. That's exactly what's happening in that area. So as a tester, that's what I'm looking for. I want to know exactly what's happening in this area, have some type of visual representation of what that area looks like. So let's look at area 2. After walking halfway through the next room, a wall will fall and confine the player. The computer narrator will then explain how to pass area 2 After the narrator is finished, a glass wall will rise up, and a post-processing volume will blur the player's vision. The player will have to match the lights on all four panels to open up the doors to get to the next area, right? Boom. I know exactly what's happening. I can then test it, and I can test it fully, and I can give you better feedback because I know what's happening or not happening. For example, area 3. So they've gone through area 1, they've come down here, they've gone through area 2, and they're now in this area. So player will begin to be confined in a small area until the computer narrator finishes explaining how to finish this area. A glowing bar will then fall through the floor, allowing the player to enter the game area. The player will have to dodge ice blasters. Ice blasters will cause damage if they come too close to the emitters. If the player dies, they will be respawned in that area. Now, the second page, what I want anything that can cause damage to the player, right? So as I'm playing, I want to know what I can touch, what I'm not supposed to touch that will actually cause me damage, and also how much damage that's doing. So in the first area, I have a spark door that if you go through will instant kill you and respawn you into area 1. Boom. I can test this now. As a tester, I can go in, I can run into that area, and I can see, does it instant kill me? Does it send me back to the launch pad? Because this is code that I've written for this level, for this part in the game. And I want to make sure that it's actually working. So if it's not working, I want the testers to let me know. Next thing, the firewall. Again, this is a stationary boundary, and I'm calling it a barrier because I'm using kill zones for this. This is not a pawn, it's not a character, it's not an actor, it's not anything else that has code or anything. It's literally a one of the volumes that that's a kill zone volume. So just again to show you what that is. If I go into volumes, there's the kill zone volume. So that's what I'm using. So as soon as anything runs into that, it instant dies. So, and then I've written that this is an instant kill. So I'm using a kill. And if the player, so now as a tester again, I can test that and I can see, does my player instant die when I run into this wall? If yes, then does it respawn me in area 1? Where does it respawn me? Those sorts of things. And if that's working correctly, I know that the wall is working correctly, and I can say, hey, okay, all the code there is working good. The fire will be able to be turned off. It'll be in area 4, so I know that as the player, once I get into area 4, I'm looking for some kind of switch or something that will turn the fire off in this area. So then that way, once I beat area 5, I'll be able to go into area 6. So from there, the ice blasters. The ice blaster is a multifaceted spinning obstacle that shoots streams of ice at players. The ice stream will damage the player at 1 point per second in the stream. There is no way to defeat the ice blaster. So again, if I'm a tester and I try to shoot at it and it disappears or I get it to blow up, obviously there's something wrong there. There's no way to defeat the ice blaster. All the player can do is avoid being touched by the streams and make it through to the end of the level. Or to the end of the game. So this is more or less like a puzzle. You have to kind of like walk through to get through. And then I have again any of the other weapons or any of the other things that can cause me damage. So like the stationary mine. If you do end up using a stationary mine, the way that you could write the information for this might be like this: is a non-mobile pawn, so it doesn't move. It's a pawn in the game, right? So it's not a character, it's not an actor, it's a pawn. That explodes on contact and it causes this much damage. It causes 10 points worth of damage to the player. So if it does do that, then I can test it, right? Again, I keep going back to it. I can test it, but this is why you're writing a detailed description of everything that should be happening. Sometimes, so I keep writing, sometimes sometimes the mine is placed in the ground. So I'm showing an example of that right there in the double picture that you can see right here. So you can see one that's actually dug into the ground sort of, but it's kind of up a little bit. And you see that there's another one that's fully above the ground. And so the player should watch out for both of these, right? So if I see a mine in the ground like this, I know that that was done on purpose. From there, the homing missile is an AI controlled pawn, so I'm telling you what it is. It moves towards the player at a rapid speed. So if I see one of these things moving slowly, I report that it's not working correctly. And it causes the player 10 points of damage when it makes contact with the player. Again, I can test this now. It uses a navigation system to determine its movements or path, which is programmed by an AI blueprint. Mostly the H missile is kept around corners and out of sight until it's too late for the player and the player can't see it. So basically I'm saying I'm using these things around corners so that the player can't shoot them too fast or they can't see them as they're going into the area, right? So I've hidden them. So if I see one of these things frozen somewhere in the level, I can get back to whoever's level this is and write down as a tester, hey, this wasn't working the right way. So I'm not going to bore you with any more details, but one side, this side, or one page should be what are each one of the zones? What am I supposed to be doing there? How do I finish it? So that, and then the other one is what can cause me damage? Can I test that damage? Is it causing the right amount of damage? And those sorts of things. So basically what's going to happen is your tester is going to sit down and he's going to play your game, or he or she is going to play your game, and they're going to go through and with this information in their mind, because they'll have read this prior to actually playing your level, and then they'll know exactly. So what this is going to do is it's going to give the first person player or the tester, the ability to make sure that everything's working in the level, and to give you back better feedback and spend less time trying to figure things out and more time testing. So if you could please kindly do this over the holidays. I know it's one more thing to ask you to do, but it's crunch week, and when we get back on Monday, if more than half the class doesn't have these things ready, I'll spend an hour in class allowing y'all to do or create one of these. But if you could go ahead and have this ready, that would be fantastic. So I've shown you how to crop the image. I've shown you what kind of information I'm looking for. I will be leaving an announcement. So one more thing I want to show you before we go is that if you go to the Canvas, to the HTC Canvas page, and you go underneath Files, I have left an example of this underneath beta testing. So the file that I just showed you, that level layout, the Word document, is there for you guys to see and have. So you do have a copy of that, and I will also be leaving a link here as well. So I'm going to create an announcement here in a second that's going to have the what I'm looking for in written form, and also a link to this video, and also letting you know that the file is in the files folder. Okay, so hope you guys have a happy Thanksgiving. Keep working, and we'll see you on Monday to do beta testing. Okay, have a wonderful weekend and a happy Thanksgiving. Bye bye.